With a modern day character Self-Destruction by Tiger Woods, it would be hard to remember the time when he was a breakthrough, fresh new sporting hero. With exceptional abilities, a clean-cut character, and looks which won him many very profitable sponsorship contracts, it's no surprise that video games were hot on the agenda for studios clamouring over his rights. No surprises then that EA published CyberTiger on both the PlayStation in 1999 and Nintendo 64 back in the year 2000. Both versions had different developers, and this N64 release came from Sapphire, whom had already mixed results with their releases on the console. Just go and do a quick Wikipedia search to see the vast array of titles they were pumping out at the time. Like the sportsman himself transcending golf into mainstream culture, the studio wanted to create a game which would also appeal to more than just gamers looking for another simulation sports title. The idea was to create a golf game which would be accessible to everyone, whilst also having enough depth to be able to satisfy the most dedicated golf game fans. This led CyberTiger to go after the casual market in the same way that Mario Golf would. The game features very action-based gameplay, Tiger Woods motion capture, a whole host of character creation and equipment upgrades, as well as power-ups to assist you in play. With support for up to 4 players and a solid enough game engine, this could have been the best casual golf game of the generation. A big feature of the game is the golf swing action being linked to the analog stick. In the same way as Virtual Pull has you using the stick to pull back and push your cue, CyberTiger works in the same way, where you pull back and strike your shot through a forward and backward motion on the stick. This actually works very well for novices to the game. The quicker you go through the motion, the more power you'll get, and so with a little practice even someone who's never played this before can get roughly acquainted to the game. There's also a lot of game modes to play through. Most of the classic modes such as stroke play, tournaments, driving range and head-to-heads are all present. Naturally, the ultimate endgame is to work your way through the tournament classes, winning cash along the way and eventually being good enough to be able to defeat CyberTiger himself. If you can get into this mode, there's a huge amount of gameplay to be had here, and there is a little more in depth than you'd find in Mario Golf from a single player perspective. The power-ups featured in the game however are a mixed bag, and you'll either love them or you'll hate them. They give you the limited ability to add special effects to your shots, such as being able to skip across water or rockets to help you get extra distance. In reality, whilst they add a novelty factor to the game, they do take away the need to build up real skill at times, and so personally I preferred to actually refrain from using them. Graphically, the game is somewhat unremarkable, but what's here does the job perfectly well without doing anything to wow you. Going for a more cartoon-like style was never going to push the console hardware, but I would have liked to have seen more detail on both the characters and the textures on the courses. There are occasional animations on the courses such as birds flying around and animals running across the course, but they do little to inject anything more than a little sense of fun. The visuals don't take themselves seriously, and the animations by the golfers bring little personality to your chosen player. The music in the game is a strange, real mix of things, and it doesn't really fit the overall presentation. It's some generic trip-hop style beats with some frankly bizarre noises like shotguns being loaded blended in with it. The bass has also been cranked up way too much, which gives the game a very muffled and distorted soundtrack. Surprisingly, this isn't isolated to the Nintendo 64 version, as the PS1 version, despite being quite different and being on CD, has the same muffled soundtrack. The effects however are far better. The whooshes, hit noises and atmospheric ambient noises in the game are much crisper, so thankfully you can turn down the music and instead just focus on the much better quality effects. Overall, despite being a fairly competent game of golf, CyberTiger is one which is surpassed in many areas by Mario Golf, which ultimately overshadows it. The game attempted to appeal to the mass market, but Mario Golf did a much better job of this. The game does have its enjoyable moments, but these are few and far between, and small areas such as the fiddly putting makes this feel a little too unpolished when up against its rivals. By no means is this the worst round of golf on the console, but for the fairly acceptable price you can pick up Mario Golf for, I couldn't see why anyone other than collectors should be looking to add this to their collection, either as a single player or a multiplayer title. So for today's topic of conversation, I'd love to know what you made of CyberTiger, and if you were the studio, what style of game would you have gone for? Personally, I would have wanted to have seen the studio either go all out as a simulation title with better physics, or go fully arcade with a mini golf style game and really gone to town with the power-ups and the multiplayer aspect. As always though, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and until next time.